Hello and welcome to my weekly video blog, and today on A Vogel Talks Menopause I'm going to be talking about smart ways to help the menopause. If you like my tips and advice, then please subscribe and remember to hit the bell icon so you can be notified of all my new videos. More and more of us today are using personal technology to help us through life. We have our phones, we have our tablets that help us to manage and plan our day-to-day life. It helps with our tasks. It can also help us with our health, with our timing, and these things can also help us through the menopause. So today I'm going to look at just some of the smart technologies that can help you to get through the menopause. So number one is smartphones and tablets. Most of us will have either one or both of these. Now, these can help us obviously with social media, phone calls, emails, internet browsing, but it can also help us to monitor and manage our menopause symptoms, and there are a number of really fantastic apps available that can help you with even very specific symptoms. So I always go on about managing stress, so there's so many apps on mindfulness, relaxation, meditation. You've got, the world's your oyster. There's so many out there that you can look at. There's also a period tracker that you can get, which can be really, really helpful, especially if you're in the perimenopause, when you have no idea when your periods are going to come. But these trackers can then help to give you an idea if there's a very specific routine in the way that your periods are changing. So instead of putting a cross on the calendar, you've got something available that's going to give you a graph or some kind of template in order for you to see what's going on at this particular time. One of my favorites is a water app. It reminds me when and how much water I need to drink. Again, water is really important, but like everybody else, I can be busy and I can suddenly think, I've not had any water for 4 hours, and my body usually tells me when I'm getting a bit dehydrated. But having that little app, it works out how much water you need for your weight and how much you need to drink every few hours, and it will actually ping to tell you when you need another drink of water, which I just think is absolutely fantastic. The other thing that a lot of these apps can do is to act as a diary, and very often I will say to women going through the menopause, do a food diary, do an exercise diary, do a period diary, do an emotional diary to see what's going on over a period of time. So if you don't have the apps, then a good old-fashioned diary is absolutely fantastic, but you can also make your own special diaries online, and again that can be something that you can have access to wherever and whenever you are. Number two is looking at smart watches and trackers. These are getting a lot cheaper now and a lot easier to use. I am so not technical. I'm really, really terrible. And I tried a smartwatch a few years ago and I gave up because it just seemed so utterly complicated. And if I want to know how many steps I do, I've got a very simple little thing that I just put onto my belt. But they are getting a lot easier to use. And I know this is something that I'm definitely going to be looking into within the short while. So these smartwatches and trackers, they can record your heartbeat, your blood pressure, how many steps you're doing, how many calories you're burning. They can also help to show you how you're sleeping, and sleep or lack of sleep in the menopause is a huge issue, and we know it can have such profound effects on your daily life, even after just a few nights of poor sleep. So these sleep trackers can figure out exactly when you're waking up, how deep or how shallow your sleep is, and you can then try and improve your sleep just for that little bit of information too. There can also be motivational tools. So these can help to encourage you to do your exercise and remind you when you're supposed to be doing your exercises too. So it can also be like having an extra little helper at hand. Number 3 is social media and the internet. This can be a good thing. It can be a bad thing as well. So the social media can help us to connect to other women. There's a lot of menopausal forums, there's menopause websites, there's YouTube. We have our own channel, and I'm here every week where I can reach out and women can ask me questions back. So it can be a support, and so many of you send me lovely emails just saying how much you appreciate the little weekly talk, and it makes you feel better. It makes you feel that there's someone on your side. So these things can really help to boost our confidence and make us feel that we're more able to cope with what's going on. There can be in YouTube, there can be other things as well. So if you don't have things like a smartphone, but you've got YouTube, you've got yoga, you've got meditation. I love yoga, so I'm never bored because there's so many classes to choose from. You've got meditation, you've got mindfulness, you've got different types of exercises you can do. So YouTube just by itself, again, is a fantastic tool to use to help you with all the little things that may help to enhance your life as you go through the menopause. The only thing I would say here is just don't be a slave to technology. There is nothing annoys me more if I'm out in company and somebody's phone pings and they get it out and start to scroll through their Facebook or their emails or something. So you can be very unsociable doing that, and I always make sure that if I'm out in company and my phone rings or my email pings or something comes up somewhere, I just leave it be. I know if it's a family emergency, we have a little code whereby somebody will ring back straight away, and I know I need to answer it, but otherwise I'd leave it till later. I also have little breaks. If I'm on holiday, I'll just keep it in my case and not bother to look at it for a few days, and it can make quite a difference, just so that we're not so bound up in it that other things get left behind. Also, just watch with technology that you're not using it just before sleep. One of the worst things you can do is be looking at your phone or your tablet or your computer whilst you're in bed, because the blue light actually stimulates the brain and it can make it much more harder to get to sleep. So leave the technology for at least an hour before you go to bed, and sometimes that can be a real aid at helping you to have a better night's sleep as well. So I hope you found this one helpful. Technology is just another means of helping us through the menopause, and I know my generation, we didn't have a lot of this going through the menopause. So for those of you that are approaching the menopause, that are tech savvy, this can be an absolutely fantastic tool to help you along the way. So I hope you found this one helpful. If any of you have any other tips or specific apps that you have found really helpful, please do share them. We would love to know all about them. And until then, I will see you next week for another edition of A. Vogel Talks Menopause.